Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Between the Lines. My name is John Lofton. It is just after Thanksgiving. I'm stuffed, and this show is stuffed full of news and updates, and we are cross-posting out to, let's see, the only place I couldn't do because of software restrictions was my personal Facebook page. I know I have a live event scheduled, so if you were looking for this on my personal page on Facebook, I do apologize, but it's only letting me go to 4 places and not just, 5 that we're wanting to go to. So right now, we have my Loft in Space YouTube channel. We have the Between the Lines YouTube channel, soon to be rebranded. I'll get to that in a little bit. But also then we have the Facebook Mixed Country 106 page that has already been in existence. And you can tell from the thumbnail here, we've got some news to share about Mixed Country 106. And then the Loft in Space Facebook page is also being live streamed right now. So I want to say welcome to all of my guests, those who don't normally join, especially on my technology platform and my whole IT administration and stuff. There's a good reason, though, I am streaming today to you guys. Normally, I don't bug you all that much. In fact, you don't really hear much. But we are still going. And I got producer Raven in the studio, and let's just see here. There we go. There's my 2-box. Raven, what's up today? What you got for me? She was just talking to me like a second ago in my ear, and I thought she had something to say, and now I don't know what it is. But there's producer Raven, and there's a good reason I have her on screen right now too, and I don't know what that is. You need to talk. Yeah, okay, fine. I don't know what that is. I can't read it. I don't know what you're saying, so we'll have to kind of move on here. But anyway, I hope you guys are ready for some awesome news and announcements and everything else. But yeah, we're going to have a good show, but it's going to be our last show. So that's kind of what I was going to lead off with here today. But yeah, so it's going to be our last show here for Between the Lines as a dedicated YouTube channel. And what that means is it's not going to go away, but it's going to be part of a relaunching of Mixed Country 106. That's right. We are relaunching our historically very popular internet radio station. I still get page likes, even though I haven't done much of anything on that Facebook page. Every week I get like 1 or 2 likes on there, and I love it. That tells me that you guys still love that channel. Even though it's not been broadcasting broadcasting since like 2015. Producer Raven, you might have to help me out on that one. It's been about that long, hadn't it? Yeah, roughly, give or take. But yeah, so we've been kind of laying low with it. I still own the domain. I still own the rights to all of that material. It's still my station. But back in the day, Mixed Country 106, one of our historically popular shows was Honky Tonk Saturdays. We could get close to like 3,000 people, like concurrent listeners, and we were simulcasting on at least one other internet radio station. I think we even had another, like 2 of them at one point for like a little bit, and it was a really good time. We had sponsorships, we had interviews that we would do, we did fundraisers, like for Memorial Day we had a big one. To raise money for veterans. And so I'm hoping to rekindle some of that. And it actually, my mind kind of got made up last week, actually during the show. Believe it or not, there are other things that kind of go around in my head while doing a show. That's just kind of the level of crazy that I am, I guess. But no, it's going to be really good because I found, I think, a segment of country music that I discovered about a year or so ago and have just absolutely fallen in love with. And I think you guys will too, especially if you're a huge fan. And I'll get to the Loft in Space where there's all this ties into in just a second. But Between the Lines, as the podcast, will now actually go into Mixed Country 106, and it'll be much more of a segmented show. It will not be dedicated, branded, like it is in, as you guys see it now today. It's going to become much more radio friendly. It's going to be chopped up into like 2 or 3 minute segments with music in between. And that way, because here's what I'm really good at too. I do struggle sometimes talking for 30 minutes. Believe it or not. And by the way, today's show is probably going to go over 30 minutes. We try to keep it about that length, but today there's just so much stuff to unpack, and so much goodness that I wanted to share. So for those of you who are wondering, what's going to happen is Between the Lines is going to become part of Mixed Country 106. It's going to be a regular featured show. However, there will be music and entertainment and all that good stuff bundled in with it, but you'll still get the same educated opinions and statements, and as I've always done, current events, all of that. You're still going to get that from me. And so I don't want you guys to kind of walk away from this, thinking, oh my goodness, we're not going to have Between the Lines. No, it's just going to kind of get reshuffled, I guess. It'll still be basically the same content, but it's going to get kind of compiled into, other things. So, but it's all going to be good stuff. It really is. And so I hope you guys will stick around for that. So what's going to happen to the YouTube channel is it's going to get rebranded. We never made it big enough where I had to dedicate a URL that I can't change and all that good stuff. So I figured, why try to reinvent that? I'm just going to rebrand this. And that also allows for all of the historic videos that we've done. And we've been doing this since late January. So almost a year. With Between the Lines every single Sunday, even through my kidney transplant and all of that. And all of those episodes are still going to be archived here. So you'll still be able to find them. And if you go to BTL-LIVE.com, if that's where you've been going to kind of get it, because sometimes it's hard to find in YouTube, I'm going to be working on integrating that YouTube playlist in the archives of the new website. You probably already noticed that BTL-LIVE.com now redirects you to mixedcountry106.com. And there's nothing there to see. I'll show you guys in a little bit. It's basically a blank WordPress site right now, and it's going to get developed over this next month and all of that. So, all right, so let's kind of dive into just a little bit more of what's going to kind of happen, and what's gonna Mixed Country 106 is gonna look like. And then I think for my Loft and Space fans, it might be more prudent so I don't lose them here, because they're used to me doing technology and related videos, self-help kind of guides, that kind of good stuff. And for those folks, that's why I have you guys here today listening, because Mixed Country 106 is a part of Loft and Space. I may be featuring technology videos about studio production and all of that. I had started a series which I am not able to finish. And I also thought I'd take this time to explain why I couldn't finish the full studio tour. For those of you who don't know, who are on the Mixed Country 106 platform, when we first moved to our home here in Des Moines, we set out to remodel a completely unfinished basement. And we wanted to make it basically into a big studio space, for me to do my work in, for churches, nonprofits, those type of things. Also for my own media production, like I'm doing right now here today. And those things do cost money. And the idea was that I would use it to help, build a business off of. And I wanted to document that because that's a huge part of my YouTube platform is documenting that. And so for the Loft and Space fans, what I do behind the scenes, in between breaks and stuff, because what's going to happen here is, so when I'm doing a live show, I'm probably going to also be live streaming just like I am now on YouTube and Facebook. But you can imagine, because of music and copyright issues, I can't just play music. YouTube would have a fit with that. But my internet streaming for the radio station is going to go through Live 365. They're one of the only players left in town that make the licensing part of this whole thing easy. And it was difficult when we tried to launch this back in 2018 because we were trying to do it as a nonprofit community organization, and we just couldn't get the licensing because we didn't fit the model. We didn't fit what you had to do to get it. And I made a whole video on that on my Loft and Space channel. So youtube.com/Loft and Space. That one is big enough to have its own URL and all that now. So go check that video out. It's one of the more recent ones, so you won't have to dig too far back to find out how copyright laws kept us from going. You'll see me with really crazy long hair. Yeah, those were some good days. But anyway, I digress. So, but those were a huge hurdle, and we end up having to give up the project. This time it is a for-profit, but I'm not in it to make a bajillion dollars. No one who does internet radio hardly is going to just exclusively is going to make a bajillion dollars. It just doesn't happen. and you got to pay the artist who plays music, so, royalties and all that. So this kind of lines up because Live 365 also does ad revenue sharing, which I'll be taking advantage of. I still pay them a monthly fee, but then we share 50-50 for what ad revenue we have on there. But in between all of that, let's say we are doing a show and I'm like, hey, thanks guys, we'll be right back with more Between the Lines right here on Mixed Country 106. And then I click out, and then if you're listening on Live 365 or through one of the other supported platforms that streams those channels, there's going to be a few. You can even listen to it on Amazon Echo devices. So that's going to be coming out. So just say, She Who Shall Not Be Named, play Mixed Country 106, and she'll play it. So we're getting to that point though. So it's going to be some really exciting stuff coming out, and I'm really excited for it. But what'll happen though is during those commercial breaks or music breaks is it's just going to be me chatting, and I'm going to be able to kind of behind the scenes what happens in the studio. And in those moments, I'll be able to talk a little bit more about the building of the studio or questions that you guys have regarding a Between the Lines topic. So I'm going to be trying to incorporate Loft and Space in with that, and as far as the technology aspect goes, I think that's going to be really cool. No one ever really gets to see, because you only want to see the A production. No one ever really looks at B production stuff, and I want to be on and streaming to both of that. So if you're watching on YouTube then or Facebook, you will not be seeing or hearing, I should say, you will not be hearing the content of the music or ads because, well, frankly, on those platforms, I can monetize. And I may have my own sponsorships that I may mention on my own that I get. Otherwise, the ads will happen on the Live 365 platform. But just without music and all of that. So if you just want to hear me talk and have a conversation, YouTube's going to be a good place to do that. If you like the music that we're going to be playing, which I'm going to be talking about in just a second, by all means, listen there, especially if you're on the go and you don't want to have like a video screen in front of you. You want to pop it in the car. You can absolutely Bluetooth your phone to the car. You can even play it. If you have one of those Echo Autos, it can play it right from there the same way as it could in your home. So you can literally take Mixed Country 106 everywhere. We're hopefully going to have a mobile app that you can have too. And so there's going to be a lot of really neat little things that we used to do that I'm going to be bringing back. And I have myself just over a month to do it. I've set a launch date. Pay close attention here, folks. A launch date tentatively. I will announce that this has to be modified or adjusted because this is really a self-imposed date. But I'm hoping to launch on January the 10th. That's a Monday. It's the second Monday in January at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time with a special live launching for the channel. So I hope you guys will watch. I hope you guys will tune in for all of that. And but yeah, it's going to be a blast. I think that you guys will enjoy it. I think that it's going to be good. And we're not going to be giving up anything. The Between the Lines, like I said, still going to happen. It's still going to be here. I don't want you guys to worry too much about that. And Mixed Country 106 is going to come out there, and then that kind of brings me into the music. What kind of music are we going to play? Historically, Mixed Country 106 has been a generational country music channel, meaning we play 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then I guess you would say if we were going to continue with that trend, like the newer stuff, like top 50. We used to have a countdown show, like top 10 in the nation or top 20 in the nation right now. And I'm not doing that anymore. Honky Tonk Saturdays kind of was based on that. That's going to go away, and I'm going to get into why. But first, let me tell you what is going to be playing on Mixed Country 106 going into this new relaunch. We are going to be playing 90s country music, some early 2000s country music, some popular stuff from there, but more dominantly, probably 70 to 75% of the time, we're going to be playing what's called Texas country music. Some people lovingly call it honky tonk music. I don't care what you call it. It is probably, in my opinion, the closest new music coming out that's actually being aired right now on, especially down in Texas and Oklahoma. It hasn't made a huge impact here in the Midwest as far as my research has been able to tell. I don't know of any radio stations traditional that are playing this kind of music, but I'm going to. I hope to be a shining beacon for this country music because it is awesome. This music has got me so fired up this last year. And I'll tell you who it started from. I got turned on to Granger Smith, and I got turned on to Aaron Watson, Cody Jinks, those guys. And believe it or not, Miranda Lambert, some of these guys, like you heard on traditional country music, or I guess mainstream country music, they have some Texas roots. So you're going to be hearing some artists that you still find on the mainstream radio today. They do have songs that I would classify as, Texas country, or much more of a fiddle, electric guitar, steel guitar. It's got that twang to it. And it is exactly what you would imagine going into, I'm going to use a national reference. Think about the music you hear going into Texas Roadhouse. Like when you're going for a steak, that is basically the definition of what Mixed Country 106 is going to be. That is the atmosphere that I'm going to be, giving out. Because if you're a genuine country music fan like me, it just makes you happy. It just does. I know not all of it's Christian, and I'm going to be addressing that next. But it just makes you happy. And a lot of it has Christian undertones to it. Not exactly in the mannerisms or theological representation that you might think of, but it's not garbage. It's not trying to make, for example, rap music into country music. I don't know what Florida Georgia Line's doing right now with Nelly, but it has to stop. I used to love FGL. Love them. Love those guys. And then now they kind of broke up. They're still doing some stuff together, but I don't know what the heck they're doing. And then everyone's doing rap. Colt Ford did it, way back in the early 2000s, and then it just died. And now we're forcing it in for the same reason that traditional record labels have been doing it now for decades. And that's because they want record sales. They don't care about the general, makeup of what made country music what it was. They just care about shoving something down big conglomerate radio stations' throats and saying, yeah, you're going to play this because this is what's making money. And I'm of the mindset of, I'm not a big conglomerate who needs to have, hundreds of stations, in my pocket that I need to make money off of. I am in the position of, I still care about music. I still care about what makes good radio. As a kid, when I was listening, I could listen for hours on the radio. I got a huge passion into it. And I could imitate every DJ that was on the air, especially country music. And my mom used to tell me, she said, son, I'm just so thankful that you got, clicked into country music and not rap and hard metal rock and all of that. And she was just so happy about that. And I want to bring that love for country music back. That is what's inspiring me to do this. Now, Mixed Country 106, in its later years, did something called Gospel Sundays. And I don't know if I'll call it that anymore. I kind of want to maybe change up the naming and branding of it a little bit. But we would do like church services. We would air them and stream them. So if you're a church and you're thinking, hey, that'd be kind of cool to have our stream aired on another platform, like an internet radio station, contact me. You can email contact@lofton.space. Hopefully I can re-add that into the description later on. But it's pretty easy. Otherwise, go to lofton.space.com or lofton.space. And there's no .com. Just lofton.space. Anyway. Or you can go to loftonspace.com. It doesn't matter. They both go to the same place. Anyway, I digress. And go to the contact page. You can get to this there. Mixed Country 106 is still being built, so I don't have email and all that set up for it yet. But it's coming. But if you have an idea, like for Sunday service type stuff, and you want that, please let me know. I would love to do that and partner up with several churches around the country even. I think that'd be really good. And then the music-wise would be kind of a mix of modern Christian music. So, your Hillsongs and your, probably like Jeremy Camp a little bit, Chris Tomlin, I some of those guys, and then I mean you kind of just think of that what you would hear on more modern Christian radio, and then I want to play some gospel music too. I want to play some country Christian music, so maybe a little bit of some Josh Turner type stuff, that kind of thing. So, I'm kind of open-minded to a little bit of the genre that will happen on Sundays, but I will always hold firm to my Christian beliefs and my Christian values. So one thing that will absolutely change compared to some historic archives of Honky Tonk Saturdays, if I bring that show completely back, is I will not be drinking during that show like I used to. That is not happening. I will not be doing shots. I will not be partaking in that. I will be refraining from cussing as much as I possibly can. I still have a mouth on me, but I got a 4-year-old who hears everything, even what's going on right now during the show today. And so, I'm not going to be influencing him that way, and I certainly don't want to be partaking. I still care about the music. I do believe in having a good time. It is not a sin to have a drink. It is not a sin to have a beer, or a glass of, bourbon or whatever. What the difference is getting drunk and being drunkenness, and then having that be a habit, and even just something that you're not even conscientious of that is against God's will not happen. So I want to get that clear. So this goes back to addressing some of my church folks who may be concerned about, Odie, what are you doing? And a lot of you guys know me as Odie, which is great. That's fine. I'm for ease of use I call it ease of use, ease of pronunciation for some of my newer fans and listeners. Like Odie, is it Cody? Odie? Because I probably don't put my name up there. But I'm probably going to just go by John, which is my other first name. And so John Lofton will be probably my on-air personality name. So to clear that up across platforms, so it's still me, it's still the same guy, I just have 2 first names. You can thank my parents for having 2 first names, but it also goes to show you that I am absolutely born and bred Southern. So that was what I wanted to spend some time on too. Like, what makes me qualified to own and operate a country radio station? What makes me qualified to judge what good music is? And why I do not give a crap about what iHeart Radio plays or what Spotify tries to shove down your throat. Here's where I differ. And that has to do with the fact that I grew up listening to a lot of different types of country music, multi-generationals, everything from Ricky Skaggs, Charlie Daniels, Charlie Pride. I grew up listening to a lot of those guys. Dan Seals, there we go. That was the other guy I was thinking of in my head. And I got into that. And then when I was discovering was guys like Alabama, Black Hawk, Tim McGraw, back when Kenny Chesney first came out. Those were my original influences. Oh, and I mustn't forget the Holy One of country music. No, not really. But he is an awesome singer. Garth Brooks. Man, I love Garth Brooks. The only trouble is Garth Brooks doesn't necessarily fit Texas country music. There's a few songs I think I can get away with, like Honky Tonk Bar Association, but in general, he will end up on the 90s format, probably. And it isn't for a lack of love of Garth Brooks. It is a lack of, I want to stay key to a listener base, and I don't want to go like too crazy off the deep end. I really want to target a specific set of listeners with this. And so I'm not going to try to grab everybody, because what ends up happening is you hear one song you like and then you turn away. I want you to have this on while you're working, while you're doing stuff around the house, while you're driving. And, I just want this to be I don't have to think about adding another song to Spotify station. I'm going to play everything that you've been thinking about in your head of good country music. And I really want to target people who love that and help you discover what the genuine country music is. Because what happens is you might listen to like the new station and hear a couple songs that you might like, and then they'll play a classic 90s song, and then it's okay, cool. But then they play this god-awful rap stuff or this like trap beat stuff and this obviously auto-tuned music. And then you're just like, no, I'm not doing this. This is way too much poppy influence for me. And you change the channel. I don't want to be the station that makes you end up changing the channel. I want to be playing country music that a specific set of people are going to like. And I think there's a large set of those people. I hope that I can get interviews with some of these guys, because they're not huge national acts. Now, if you go down to Texas, some of these guys, I've been seeing their concerts. They can sell 20,000 seat arenas down there. But you go up to Iowa, Minnesota, and those guys, you never heard of them because they're not played up here. and I'm hoping to expand out this this great set of country music. It is just the best, and I know you're dying to hear some right now, but for YouTube's sake, I cannot play it, and I will not play it. I have some other ideas for some shows too. One of them might be a karaoke night, like a country music karaoke night. A lot of you guys know I sing. I've even sang once on this show before, but I do love to sing. I did a lot of bar scenes way back in the day, karaoke contests. I even auditioned for The Voice on NBC. Didn't make it on, sadly, but it was cool to go through the audition process. And, it was good. And I just had a new love for country music even then after that. And so that show might consist of, and it's still a work in progress of whether or not it'll come to fruition, but essentially I'll be singing, and then I might do challenges and fun contests. We'll have trivia, that sort of thing, because my wife, who is the producer here, now honey, you've always kind of referred to me as like the encyclopedia of 90s music, right?
You proclaim that yourself.
I did not. You've always said that about me. Like, you're like an encyclopedia, because you used to challenge me. Remember my dad and that we would come up? There used to be...
I would set up the questions between you two, and...
we would just duke it out. Because my dad, who taught me a lot about country music, Mr. Kevin Lofton, by the way, he used to sing, and he played in a band, and he had his own... I don't know if you'd call him an album, but he definitely had several releases that he... brought out to share with folks, and he did his thing, and that's how I got the music bug. So it was really exciting to to have that and all that. But I'm wanting to carry on that, and producer Raven, you're going to be a huge part of this. I know she used to be on Honky Tonk Saturdays, the show back in the day.
I did.
We had a lot going on, and she didn't speak too much, just like you guys know her now. She doesn't really speak too much, but she is amazing at keeping me organized. She's in my ear every week, and she keeps me kind of focused in on what we're doing here. All right, so I wanted to kind of get back into my subject here of what makes me actually qualified to talk about country music, to judge country music, and run a radio station. Well, let's start with the radio station. So out of high school, I went and I studied broadcasting for a couple years. I got into the industry a little bit. I have great mentors and influences, guys like Jay Thomas and Janie Morgan, and oh my gosh, there was Bill. Oh gosh, I forget. I can't think of his last name. Oh my gosh, but I had some really good instructors, and they were a huge influence on me. In fact, the imaging, until I can work out some new imaging and all of that, I'm probably going to launch with some stuff that we had originally had that still fits. But Jay actually did a lot of the imaging, so he's the one who would do, you're listening to Mixed Country 106. I'm just kind of curious to see here.
Do you even have any of those?
I do. So and I forgot to do it ahead of time. So bear with me here. But I'm going to pull up some stuff here, some like promos and stuff like that. Let's see. I was just hoping to find some liners or some imaging real quick that I can pull out. Here we got some liners. Here we go. Let me just see what these ones look like. These are going to be kind of short. So the idea of a liner is like it's the stuff you hear in between songs. So let me see what this one. These are totally random. I used to have these like just numerically so I could weight them so they wouldn't play all the time. So let me see what this sounds like here.
Playing over 3,000 rotating tracks and growing every day. This is Mixed Country 106.
There you go. There was one. So that's kind of the idea. I don't even know. There was a couple ones he did that they were a little bit weird, but let me just see here. I'm just going to pull out one more random here for you. One more random.
This is Mixed Country 106.
Love the music.
Yeah, those type of things. And then they transition. So you'd have like the song fading out, and then that would kind of dub over it just slightly. And then underneath that even would be the next song. So that's the idea with radio, and is there's no gaps in it. It's just bam, bam, bam. It's super snappy. And I'm going to continue with that because a lot of this Texas country is pretty, boot tapping, we'll call it. And you don't want any gaps in there. You don't want the silence and all of that. I did have something that I did want to play for you guys. Again, I totally dropped the ball on this, and I didn't have it just like pre-queued. But it was one of my original promos. This is the very first promo for Mixed Country 106 I ever made. And I wanted to play that for you because I have it, and it's actually fairly handy to get to. So bear with me here. Here we go. I'm pretty sure this one's it. This is the very first promo I ever made.
Welcome to the all-new Mixed Country 106. It's all the best country music from the 80s, 90s, and today's biggest hits. From artists like George Strait,
Sing a song about the heartland, the only place I feel at home.
Alan Jackson,
I'm a country boy, got a four-wheel drive.
Blackhawk, it's just about right, and Shania Twain. It's all here on the all-new Mixed Country 106.
Out of this world.
Oh my goodness. That just hearing that every time brings back memories. I used to be so good with production too. One of the things I was always known for in college was my production value, and music beds, creations, and all that good stuff. Obviously, we're not going to be carrying that promo. You will not hear that on the new launch, but this was something I made. I made that like in 2009, and I still have that recording. And my voice is a little different. Do I still sound like the John Lofton in that promo, Raven?
No.
You don't think I sound like that at all anymore?
No, unless you try it right now.
You're listening to see, I puke the mic too. We call that puking when you do that thing. Welcome to the all new Mixed Country 106. How's that? That's as close as I can get to it. My voice, I feel like, is deeper now. Because, well, that was been like 13 years ago.
Something like that.
Something like that. So it's just like, yeah, you just kind of have to get the idea of, where this started from. So my love for music and radio goes way, way back. And that was one of the things that I think makes me good with this is I've done internet radio before. I know what it takes to be successful with the radio station. As much as Between the Lines has been a passion for me to try to do it as its own independent project, it is not getting me a lot of listeners. It just isn't. After almost a year of this, Facebook does well for me, but that's just my personal page because my friends like me and they listen. But I'm not getting a lot of external sources. So for that reason, you can't beat a dead horse too long. I will tell you, though, that Between the Lines has been very therapeutic for me. I get all the stuff that I want to say in the week, just shout it out to somebody. And I just made myself a platform to do that. And so for that, it's been wildly therapeutic for me. But this studio, when we, let me see if I can just cut to this.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, so I was going to play it.
Between the Lights, please.
And my little boy, he's kind of into it too. But I wanted to have that. I don't know if I hope it doesn't go black on me because I'm pretty sure that's an auto cue. But this studio here that you guys are seeing on the wide view, this was a major investment that we did. Like I started out saying earlier in the video, we went to this basement with a blank slate, and it literally was just concrete in this room. No flooring, no walls, no doors, no nothing. Even the wall to the left where that little cat tower thing is, that didn't exist. We built that all around. The only thing that was down here was a hookup for a washer and dryer and the furnace equipment. So, it was one of those that we made the investment, and we put in about $60,000 total into this project. 60 grand. So naturally, you can imagine And a lot of that was money we made from our last house that we reinvested. A lot of it was we then refinanced this house. So I'm gambling here a lot to try to make this work. And so as much as I really want this to be successful on its own, it just isn't. It needs to be wrapped up into something else, which I think Mixed Country 106 is a great plan for that. I think that's a good place for it. I think that that being a part of what has already historically allowed me to see some success in the industry with sponsorships and advertisement, I think that's going to be the key. But at the core of it, though, I'm not going to sell out. I will be playing country music. Sponsors and advertisers that go with Live 365 or with me, that's just what's going to be played. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to do, special favors for anybody. I will accept independent artists. I used to get these all the time, but I would get random requests via email to listen to music and play it on the station. So I would get those a lot. And I'd listen to them. Majority of radio stations, because they can't, even your program directors at your, let's call them commercial stations, they can't even decide what's going to be played. Their main job is to stick with the format that the corporate folks give them, make sure everything plays every single day the way that it's supposed to, make sure advertisement, that's really what they care about. They want to make sure that that advertisement that's being paid for gets played at a specific time range and it gets played for a specific duration so that they can go about and, fulfill that thing. It's not even about music. I don't even see hardly any music directors at radio stations anymore. A lot of radio stations used to have music directors. Even your GMs would be, big music fans, and you'd have and live content. And that goes into my other thing. I plan on doing live shows. I will voice track some stuff in the afternoons. Just because I got other things going on and, can't do it all. I'd be looking for other DJs who want to kind of get their foot in the door. It wouldn't be necessarily paying a gig, obviously, but if it starts becoming successful, I'd love to have other DJs, and the DJ doesn't even have to come here. They'd be able to broadcast from their own studio so long as they had adequate equipment and an adequate space and, a quiet environment. I'd be okay with that. But what happens today is, I'm sorry, Kiss FM, but Ryan Seacrest isn't coming to Des Moines every single day to do a show. It's all syndicated. And I'm looking at a couple syndicated options, but they're going to be very much tailored to this audience. It's not going to feel like this shock and awe of getting some big celebrity just to say you can have them on that station. You're going to have genuine content from people like me who care about what's airing and what's being talked about and having genuine interaction with the listeners. I hope to do live events. It'll obviously be in Iowa, of course, but I'd love to go out to the state fair next year, set up a booth or a tent if I can, and at least for a few days of the fair, and tell people at Mixed Country 106, maybe do live between the line segments, out for folks and introduce them to the station that way. I think that'd be a cool idea. I want to have merchandise. I'd like to be wearing the brand. I want to treat it almost like a commercial station, but then once people see what it actually is and what it sounds like, they get the idea like, holy cow, this is actually a genuine, radio station. This is genuine content from somebody who cares. And you have the idea of this person being myself who actually researches the music, pays attention to it, and genuinely cares. And I'll tell you guys, so a couple things I was going to show you. Obviously, this is the platform I'm going to be using, Live 365. Again, they're going to have apps and streaming players, and of course, She Who Shall Not Be Named. They're going to be they have access to all that for their stations. I hope to be one of the more successful ones. I wanted to show you guys briefly, just in the one day that I launched this. Now, remember, when you're in WordPress and you're logged in, it doesn't show, your stats. So you can see between the lines, we never really got much. But you looked at, as soon as it switched over to Mixed Country 106 yesterday, look how much it shot up in one day. 33 views, and I wasn't even doing anything. I was literally just setting this up yesterday. And even today, you can see that this number is going up. And so that's kind of the point is there's definitely demand for this. And I really want this to be successful. There's another organization I was going to Google here real quick for you. Let me see if I can get to these guys real quick. Yeah, it's these guys. So this is the Texas Country Music Chart, and there's also the Texas Country Music Association. This is going to be my reference to kind of gauge what's actually, really popular right now. So like I said, Cody Jinks, #1 right now, Josh Ward right behind him, and you can just see the list and you can get access to the full list. This is going to be my bread and butter, this site right here. This is how I'm going to gauge it since I can't be in Texas, but appreciate and love the music. This is going to be my base of how I'm going to be gauging what music I should be playing, and paying attention to these artists, paying attention to the acts that they have. So that's going to be kind of the big thing, is looking at this site and looking at country music from Texas country music in general. So I hope you guys start to listen to this. You can absolutely use, I use YouTube Music a lot to listen to stuff. Now I'm going to go through the process of legally acquiring it, stuff that I don't already have, and then gathering together playlists and all that. So, yeah, we're going to just kind of go with that. And I just realized I left Raven's mic open, so you guys can hear that rustling around. So apologize for that. But yeah, we're going to have this, I guess this site being a kind of a base for us. And I'm hopefully going to contact these guys and, see about getting membership, because they do have media memberships, and then maybe use this as a way to get in contact with some of the artists and get interviews and stuff like that for. So just kind of keep all that in mind. All of those things are absolutely in the works right now, and we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. So I'm open for questions too. So if you guys have questions about this process, Loft and Space fans, if you're still sticking around, if you're kind of curious about the studio and the equipment, how I'm doing everything right now and switching and the gear and all that behind there, I'm going to be talking about that. Although there is one point that I didn't get to early, and I just remembered it now, of why I can't continue with the project for the studio tour. I talked about what we invested into it, and the reason is most of the footage I have is, and I've been reluctant to even discuss this too much, but I will at least give a little bit more details now. I feel like a year later I can maybe shed a little more light on this. But what essentially happened is, there was some, let's call it inconsistencies with the quality of work at times. And I'm not going to name the contractors. It's actually part of this. And unfortunately, though, because I can't name contractors, a lot of my footage, it's really hard to edit. I've been trying to find different ways to edit, but I was getting rid of so much content because it would show the logo or part of someone who was with the contracting crew. And I tried to go through, there's photos and still photos that I have, but I did not have a lot of footage in between contractors. I was filming a lot of the work that was happening and not so much of the milestones. And so a lot of the video has people in it that I can't now legally show because of a non-disclosure agreement that I have as a result of all this. And so that is why I can't talk about or show a lot of the process of what happened. I can talk about it, so I'll probably do a studio tour one of these days, but up until now I had been trying to edit. So for my Loft and Space fans, just know I'd been trying to edit this thing and how this whole studio came out to be, and I just don't have enough footage that I can show you because of this agreement. It wasn't bad. The studio did ultimately turn out, actually above and beyond meeting my expectations. Most notably, I'm really proud of the electrical work in here. The electrician we had who came in, who helped wire this, For example, one of the things I was hoping to talk about is how the electric's done. And to simply put, we even have a set of electrical outlets that are tied to just a 3-prong extension cord. 2 code, I will add, but it goes to a it goes to a, but the name of it's escaping me. But it goes to basically a device that cleans up the electricity and basically makes it so you don't hear any hum or electromagnetic noise. And that's how the audio gets to say this clean, is we have specific breakers and all of that were designed. And I was hoping to talk about that. Anyway, and those things I still can, but I have to do it after the fact. Now I can't show what happened during. But anyway, Producer Raven, has there been any traffic? Anyone interested? Okay. Well, I'm sure there will be. I'm sure that once this starts really getting rolling, especially once we launch, again, we're tentatively going to start on January the 10th at 5 p.m. Central. And I'm excited to do a big launch event. I'm going to see about getting an interview or something like that. I'm going to call out a couple favors. And we'll see what we can come up with. But anyway, I think that's all I got. Producer Raven, did I forget to mention anything that I said I was going to?
I don't think so.
You're good? All right. Well, it's kind of sad I've been delaying this because this is the last time I'm actually going to end a Between the Lines this way. And it's the last time the... Yeah. You want to say that again? You know?
Unfortunately, it didn't go as far as you thought it would.
No, not in this format. And I'm really sad. And it's hard to admit defeat, because when you admit defeat, especially as like a business or as a professional organization, it's really shedding doubt on, you know, if you're capable of this success, if you're really creating content that people are going to want to watch and listen to. And I don't really look at that. I mean, you look at some of the most successful people of our time, they failed a lot before they became wildly successful. And I still feel like I might be in that failing phase, but eventually...
One person comes to mind.
Who's that?
Colonel Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
He tried numerous times, and he was an elderly gentleman by the time he got successful.
That is true. That is absolutely true. I guess I was thinking about Apple, and I was thinking about like Bill Gates and Microsoft. A lot of both of those guys, they had you know, a lot of failures in that. You know, I specifically like Bill Gates trying to do computers and that out of the garage, and actually that was Apple too. But yeah, it literally started from garage businesses and eventually took off to something, you know, something better. But I'm going to miss saying Between the Lines. I'm going to miss seeing that logo. It's really plain and simple, but it kind of grew on me over this time. And obviously you see the holiday backgrounds and all that. We'll just see how things shape out and what it kind of looks like for these live streams. I'm excited, but I'm also a little sad. Like I said, I'm going to miss bittersweet. I'm definitely going to miss Between the Lines and doing it because, like I said, it was really therapeutic for me. So, all right. I guess I'll do the sign off now. I've been procrastinating on it.
Gotta happen.
Or no, I don't really want it to end. But here we go. Thank you guys again for being a part of Between the Lines. It means a lot. I hope this has blessed you at all, kept you encouraged from my religious things and all of that. But for the last time, signing off. Until the new Mixed Country 106, my name is John Lofton, and for Raven Lofton, I want to thank you guys so much for listening. God bless you all, and we'll see you in January.
Like and subscribe to Between the Lines, please.